Hey guys, welcome to my first video on this channel, all about my journey with languages and languages in general. My name is Josh and I'm currently learning Tetun, and I have been for about a year now. This is my first time going this deep into language learning, but I think I've learned a lot about the language in question as well as the acquisition process in general. So in this video I'd like to share some insight into how I go about learning my current target language, Tetun. Alrighty, so let me give you some context regarding what actually got me into Tetun and what got me into learning languages in general. So it was very early on in COVID times and I was very bored, stuck at home, so I decided to just hop onto Google Earth and go to random places in the world. This would subsequently lead me to a period where I would just binge watch a whole lot of travel vlogs. This eventually led me to thinking to myself, hey, if I eventually want to travel too after all this COVID nonsense, maybe I should learn a second language. I quickly decided on Tetun because I have a lot of Timorese family, and I also went on a holiday to Timor-Leste a couple of years ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. From there, my friend sent me a video from Days of French and Swedish, and from there I fell deep into the rabbit hole of language learning YouTubers. This includes people like Robin McPherson, Steve Kaufman, Luca Lampediello, Lindy Boats, Matt vs Japan, Ollie Richards, the list goes on. Pretty much all of these YouTubers have at least once referenced the linguist Stephen Krashen, who has the comprehensible input theory, which has greatly influenced how I learn Tetun. I plan to make another video that goes into the whole comprehensible input shenanigan into a lot more depth, but the basic idea is that to acquire a language, you need to be consuming a load of content in said language that is at a level that is comprehensible to you, but at a level that's just above so that you're still acquiring new words and new grammar and all that crazy shiz. So in terms of how I got started in Tetun, all of the credit goes to the wonderful website learntetum.com. I started off in Tetun by taking the level 1 video course, which came with this nifty book, and I was doing that in conjunction with the level 1 Zoom course, which really helped me with developing a solid foundation in the language. I loved the dialogues between the characters Egas and Diana in the level 1 video course, and I actually got really invested in the story. I also loved how both of the courses were not overly focused on grammar and were instead presenting different situations you might find yourself in Timor and teaching you how to use Tetun in said situations. I also ended up taking the level 2 Zoom course, which was also very useful. So when I started learning this language, I didn't really know anyone else who was learning Tetun apart from, of course, the people who were taking the Zoom course with me. But I didn't really know anyone else, particularly in my own age range. So what I decided to do was to look for an online community for people who were learning Tetun. And I couldn't find one, so I started one myself. Starting this online community on Discord has enabled me to learn fellow people who were also learning this language, and enabled me to have frequent conversation practice both over text and via call. I also think that when you're learning a new skill, any new skill, it's very helpful to have a community of like-minded people around you to, keep you sane. Another huge asset of this server is getting constant recommendations from people for forms of input, essentially, in Tetun. So books, movies, TV shows, all of that stuff. Endless recommendations in that server. If you guys would like to join, I'm leaving a link in the description. So yeah, I'd love to have you guys come and join. So the bidirectional translation method is a language learning method that was coined by polyglot extraordinaire Luca Lampediello, who also has a great YouTube channel. The basic idea with this method is reading a piece of text in both your target language and your native language, then translating the text in your target language into your native language, so you're writing your own unique translation in your native language, and then translating that back into your target language after a day. The reason why you want to wait a day is essentially so you forget, because as Luca said in his video about this method, information is better retained when forgotten and then remembered again, rather than just remembered the whole way through. I undertake this method utilizing two main resources. The first one being Let's Read Asia, which is a website that contains an abundance of children's books in an abundance of Asian languages, which happens to also include Tetun. The second resource I use is this book, Lian Husik Lamar, or Sounds of the Soul, which is a book which is written in both English and Tetun, all about Timorese traditional music. This book in particular is really good for my personal needs because music is a topic of interest for me, and using resources that is a topic of interest for you is always the way to go in language learning. So I recently found a Timorese TV show called Laloran Justisa, or Waves of Justice, which is entirely in Tetun but doesn't contain Tetun subtitles. It only contains English subtitles and Portuguese subtitles. So what I have been doing with this TV show is transcribing everything into Tetun myself. This has helped me very much with internalizing the spoken language side of Tetun, which is generally spoken really fast, so it's not the same experience as just reading a book, because you really need to listen to what they're saying, listen to it over and over again, and try to get down everything they're saying. What I will say is that if I don't know a word that they're saying, I just skip it, because I know that I'll come across it later. So there's no point in just like really zooming into one particular part of the show and listening to that over and over again if you really can't get the word, because it will come up again, so there's no real need to worry about that. I entirely attribute the idea of not worrying too much about what a particular word or grammar structure is and just kind of relying on the fact that it will come up later to an amazing polyglot YouTuber whose name is Steve Kaufman. So before watching Steve Kaufman's videos, I was the kind of person who wanted to know everything now, which is not really the greatest way to approach things when you're learning a language. Just because when you want to get a lot of input, if you're focusing really heavily on one word or one grammar structure that you can't quite get down, that's going to infringe on you getting more input, because focusing in on that will take up all your time. So what Steve Kaufman said is that you should just skip over that stuff and wait for it to come up again later, because it will come up again later and you will internalize these grammar structures and words if you're getting a lot of input. So yeah, I think that will be it for this particular video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that, and let me know what you think, because yeah, this is a very new channel for me. I also have a channel where I do music stuff, but I'm not going to really let those two channels connect. So if you're here from my music channel, this channel will be kind of completely different and separated from that kind of stuff. So have a good one, and I'll see you guys later.